Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Friday, November 14th. I present to your attention another market review for Forex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. So, the important news for this week that remains for Friday is the Producer Price Index, which is an evening release at 4:30 p.m. I still don't see the non-farm payrolls, even though the shutdown seems to be over. Let's check other economic calendars. Nowhere do they mention the non-farm payrolls, and that's already, my friends, quite strange. Let's see what we can trade on the charts. Let's go. So, let's start with the gold quotes, which, after yesterday's crash, are currently starting to gradually decline. The short position was a bit higher. Naturally, the Asians sold at better prices. For now, I don't see anything interesting. Today is Friday, and the trading week is closing with this kind of incomplete bullish engulfing, which indicates a predominantly bullish direction for this instrument, either after a pullback or from current levels. But, my friends, this is bullish information. The euro-dollar pair is rolling back today. Yesterday, there was a strong rally. The Americans sold a little today, the Europeans are gradually correcting. What's interesting is that yesterday we came quite close to one of the weekly breaks. Some might say that was a test of that break and that it might have been worth selling a bit at the lower levels, but I don't see anything particularly remarkable here. The week is closing. Well, in my opinion, it would have been better if on the weekly chart you had at least updated the highs of the last 3 weeks, but it's up to the market. For now, we're falling for 4 hours straight, and this is already the 5th hour in a row, but the US session is ahead, so I think things will get interesting. Overall, the bullish trend is better aimed at updating the nearest weekly extremes. The GBP-USD pair really took off today. Interestingly, yesterday I gave a trading idea for a long from the bullish break which was here, and from there the instrument moved quite a lot. Those who trade one-to-one have already partially taken profits here. Even from this break, even if you took 200 at first, at one point it was already 700, but at the moment the instrument has tested the control zone and the Asian short break. There was a very strong 15-minute bullish candle, so maybe the third wave up will continue. In any case, if you are going to buy the instrument, I think it's not worth holding longs below today's lows. If those lows are broken, that will already be a bearish break and essentially a bearish trend. As long as this impulse is in control, you can hold on. Overall, the week, well, again, depending on exactly how it closes, does not really indicate either a reversal or a clear buy or sell signal at this point in time just yet, at this stage, but in any case, it's a kind of pause, a strong pause in the decline. But I think everything will become clear very soon, whether or not this powerful, extremely strong bullish impulse will be absorbed by the market. If it is absorbed and the low of this day is broken, then that will be a sign of pressure, and it will be possible to look for short positions, including from a bearish breakdown that could form here, but as long as this impulse is in control, you can continue to hold long positions. The Australian dollar has finally started to fall, including as of yesterday. On the daily chart, we had a gorgeous pin bar yesterday in a bearish trend, and there's a chance that the instrument will ultimately, and perhaps at last, fulfill our bearish expectations and rewrite everything it should have rewritten several months ago. There's strong and persistent pressure on the trend support, and from the current levels, we can expect moves of 600, 900, 1,200, or even 1,500. Well, roughly speaking, that was my attack scenario, which I showed earlier. That is, after the last bearish impulse, we entered the pullback levels quite deeply, but gradually the instrument broke down, moved away from one of the bearish breakdowns from the week before last, and continues to decline. It still has a chance to fall, and I think we can expect a good downward move here. Therefore, this does not correlate with the growth of the pound, at least not from the current prices. But, at the very least, this is a hedging position. The thing is, if you get stopped out here for about 300 points, then with the Australian dollar, if you had short positions, they have long been in profit. You can expect at least 1,000 points there, and so on. Looking for real trading advantages? Forex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. For major currency pairs, our conditions are more favorable, spreads are lower, and the commission is only $5 instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to our market overview. Now, dollar, Canadian dollar. The dollar, Canadian dollar continues to be bullish. Let me remind you that we did, of course, want to buy it, but from below, right here, the price didn't reach our buy orders. If you want a short correction, those levels should be higher, and we didn't reach them either. Dollar yen continues to rise further. This week is also bullish. The short initiative from the beginning of the year still isn't holding. The week is coming to a close. It's closing bullish. I don't see any short breakdowns here yet, so be careful. Now, regarding oil, my friends, after today's notably powerful and significant long impulse, right after Trump essentially declared war on Venezuela, oil gave another strong and decisive long impulse. There was a clear and decisive long breakout here. Here it is. The instrument is slowly but steadily crawling upward. What's interesting is I'd really like to look into the eyes of those who drove the price down on November 12th, so that on the night of the 14th, Trump could announce whatever it was he announced. Just a bunch of tricks and setups for his friends. But in any case, there are impulses and you can work with them. Right now, the long impulse is playing out. Bitcoin is finally trading at $96,000, just as I promised. Congratulations to everyone who took part in this short movement. Here, in this particular situation, there will be a shakeout, and I think today is a truly terrible, difficult, and challenging day for buyers, including those who are Bitcoin buyers, because the important psychological mark has been crossed, and if profit-taking starts now, the instrument could potentially fall even further, possibly much further. I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review. The collapse of stock indices is all over today's newspaper headlines, making it a topic of widespread discussion. Yes, the drop happened yesterday and it was quite significant. We went down pretty deep, deeper than many expected. For now, there are no long operations because there was no long reversal at the bottom, which is a key signal for many traders. Overall, the week is closing with one of the small weekly short bars, which in fact doesn't even break the overall trend that has been established. The situation is about the same for the DAX. The week closes with a bearish candle, but that doesn't mean you should rush to buy here because the risks are still unclear and uncertain. As for the dollar franc has cast a short line and the week closes very badly for buyers, making it a tough environment. I don't see any support for building long positions yet. At least not at this stage. We've broken through the lows of the past 3 weeks, and the instrument is floundering at the bottom, struggling to find direction. Those who bought from the lower long reversal can still hold with a stop below it, or even at break-even, depending on their risk tolerance and strategy. For now, the instrument looks, of course, very bleak, although it has excellent chances for growth. But this trading week is closing in this way. This is not a signal for the continuation of the long trend. It's an engulfing pattern within a short trend. So here, it's a situation where holding longs is quite tricky. Next week could also be bearish, because this week we have engulfed 3 weeks of growth. This is bad news for buyers. So, either reduce your positions or tighten your risks on CAD CHF. And moving on, I'm interested in the grid trading method. I'm waiting for the instrument to break this year's low to start building a grid of limit buy orders. On AUD CAD, if it breaks this year's highs, set up a grid of limit sell orders with a 500-point step. With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit with no extra conditions. NZD-CHF has updated this year's lows, and below that you can start building a grid of longs with a 500-point step and a take profit at the mirror level of 0.40. Meanwhile, NZD has entered a correction. Everyone who opened shorts after the breakout of the 2022 highs can already close their positions. They're in profit. Those who opened shorts on the breakout of last year's highs can hold on a bit longer. In theory, we should return to this zone. Of course, if you've overloaded your deposits, you might be scared. But that's normal. You can find the average purchase price by, for example, setting an indicator. A profit line and the average price should be somewhere around here. Why? Well, it's basically the average line between these extreme points. For example, even if it's here, then literally after say 1000 points, your total short position will be at 0. So you can take advantage of this situation, and if you got caught up in it, which is likely the case, you can simply close out this grid to zero and free up margin for other opportunities in the Forex market. Now, as for EURCHF, finally, it has broken through everything possible. Congratulations to those who participated in the downward movement. The instrument has broken through the 2024 lows, and from the current levels and below, you can start building a grid of limit buy orders with a step of at least 1000. But if you were holding shorts, you can exit with a profit. EURAUD is still in a range. I'm interested in short positions above, but for now we leave it alone. Euro Canadian dollar is rising, and I'm interested in positions above the yearly highs. We'll be selling with a grid of 500. We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex. USD/RUB is still in a range and not interesting. As for silver, it has broken through the yearly highs and has entered a short correction. This is a good reason to try to buy it somewhere lower, ideally from a long setup right here, aiming for a new high. That's all for now. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.